Welcome everybody back to the penultimate episode of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. Episode 46, which would be 22? Episode 22 of Season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen. Big episode this time. We can already tell. So, Mahito is on his last legs, and we have long predicted, since the Mechamaru fight, that fucking Umbrella Man, aka Geto, aka Brain Man, is his whole thing with allying himself with all the cursed spirits, despite probably, by all likelihood, being a sorcerer based on like a bunch of other information that we kind of deduced earlier on in our theory crafting and stuff like that. You know, you're not it's unclear whether the thing or the person possessing Geto would be like a cursed spirit or like an ancient sorcerer. We think originally we thought it was Noritoshi Kamo or Kamo Noritoshi Senior from like 100 years ago. And as things have gone on and the more that we've like kind of thought and learned about it, it seems more likely that it is somebody that we don't know from the Heian era, most likely. But also took control of Kamo Noritoshi. Yeah, at some point, but that was not the first form. And that the obsession that Kamo Noritoshi had with creating like a hybrid cursed spirit and human thing, it may have culminated in the death paintings, or possibly Yuji, if Yuji turns out to be a death painting. We've kind of theorized all this stuff up to this point, and that along with all of this has allied himself with the cursed spirits, so that for this moment when Mahito is fucking about to die or about to be exorcised, can swoop in, slurp him up, and then have Mahito's full power under his control. Yeah. For probably just to increase his power. And I think that his long-term goal is probably, I mean, I don't know what his end goal is other than to like ascend to some sort of greater power. But for what he wants to do with that power, I don't know. But I think eventually he probably wants to take control of Gojo, is what we theorized, after doing whatever he needs to do with Geto's body, being able to control Mahito or have control over all these cursed spirits and do all this shit. Probably wants to take control of Gojo, because that'll be like the only way that he could kind of ascend further into a higher level of power. I don't know what else he can do. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I agree.
Is there anything else we're leaving out? Because I feel like there's gonna be I feel like the Mahito thing is gonna come to fruition right here. He showed up like right at the end of last episode.
I don't really think that there's anything else.
To expand on the Yuji thing, we could be totally wrong about him, but like the fact that there was like that scene with Choso and he's like, oh, they're brothers apparently now. And the fact that we don't know a lot about Yuji's parents. So if he's related in some, if the brother thing isn't like a I'm you type thing with Mahito, and there actually is like a sort of connection, a familial connection there possibly, then that would mean that he would be related to Kamo Noritoshi / Umbrella Man, basically, which
gonna show up, pull a Darth Vader.
I think so, like literally, yeah. So and along with gaining this crazy level of power, what will happen after that? I mean, I have no idea. I don't know.
I feel like it's impossible to predict what's gonna happen after, because it's like, if he gets Mahito, is he just gonna be like, see ya, I'm out. I just destroyed all of this and killed all these people, so I could get what I wanted, which is like, new Pokemon. Yeah. So, bye.
A legendary.
I'm just gonna like drop a bunch of baggage onto Yuji, and then I'm just gonna hit the road.
And like, what will that do to fucking Yuji's, after now that he's kind of given up on like fucking, I don't know, like it feels like he's gone through a crazy, I mean, the episodes are called Metamorphosis. So I think that describes Yuji's state pretty well. I wonder what realizing that he's like some weird science experiment or son of the fucking devil is gonna do to his psyche. Like, yeah. Or maybe he's not. Maybe, I mean, it just feels like he should be, I don't know.
Fucked up by that?
No, like, I'm still, there's something weird about, like, the brother thing, because I guess maybe it's just, it's like the loosest, like, because I feel like when we were theorizing about Umbrella Man initially, there was like a lot of connective tissue to support it, and now we're kind of like ahead of where the story is going, I think, with that.
You've been like stirring around with the same theories for like
so then when you think of like what's the evidence that Yuji could be related to fucking Umbrella Man? It's just that
specifically a mystery with his parents.
Yeah.
A guy called him his brother.
Yeah.
And but then at the same time, I think, like, if his grandpa knew, like, say he was, like, a death painting and his grandpa knew that, like, the way that his grandpa was, like, bringing that up was a little bit lighter than I think that conversation might have gone. Unless he was just gonna be like, you're adopted or something.
Yeah.
Your parents, yeah, they were already dead, but also they adopted you. We don't know where you came from.
Yeah.
But you're kind of a weird child, you know, you were, like, doing all this crazy shit. I don't know.
I wonder what the shit is with his grandpa, because, like, I don't know.
I have no idea. Maybe we'll get some flashbacks.
Well, it's just that he looked like I feel like Yuji and his grandpa's design look similar enough to where they're probably related and not, like,
well, it
adopted.
could be on his mom's side.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But the one thing that would, I mean, if he was like the product of whatever science experiment, is probably related to whatever we saw in season 1. We've rewatched that scene once a week for the last 6 months, at least. Like, the scene of them explaining Kamino Urotoshi's backstory or whatever, and about how there was this woman who could, what was it, she could give birth to cursed spirits or get impregnated by cursed spirits?
Yeah.
So she had, like, some weird shit with that. I wonder if,
like, she just naturally had that, and then Kamo exploited that.
Well, yeah, then maybe it's not even... Umbrella Man won't even be his dad. He's just like the fucking scientist who created him, and his dad is... What if his dad is Mahito? That would be crazy. She's like getting pregnant by her spirits, but if Kamo was possessed by a fucking another sorcerer, then that wouldn't really come into effect.
He really meant it when he said, "We're the same, you and I."
Yeah, he's literally like, we literally got the "I'm your father" fucking thing. Maybe, probably not. I don't know.
No.
I don't. It's just there's only one way to find out. I kind of wanted
stalling.
to. I wanted to. Well, I'm not just stalling. I'm trying to lay out, like, all the shit that we thought before it happens so that...
I told you so.
We could say, I told you so, exactly.
Or we can just look like idiots.
Or we could look like complete buffoons and never mention it again.
Yep.
I'm trying to think, was there anything else? I think as far as Umbrella Man and shit... And it's not, like, here's the thing about the Umbrella Man thing, about Kamo, is it's not 100% confirmed, but, like, the fact... in case anybody missed the one discussion where we talked about this last, it was like, we went back... And it was episode 9 or 10 or whatever it was. We went back and we saw that one shot of fucking Kamino Uratoshi with the umbrella. And then it was covering up to here on his head. And it's like, why would you do that exactly? With like the umbrella with the little spines or whatever they're called. Like the little stilts of the umbrella, whatever they're, not stilts, spokes. I don't know if that's the right word for that, but with like looking a lot like the scar. Conveniently covering up where the scar would be. I don't know. I just... I've been trying to think about, I feel like there's still some shit missing, but I don't know what it is. And I feel like we're so close, and I guess the only way is to watch, but I've been trying to like rack my brain to figure out, like, is there something else we miss? Is there some other weird little thing about the story that we didn't like fucking figure out? And I can't think of it. I think that I'm as far as I'm gonna get with this one, so we're just gonna have to check it out. Leave a like and subscribe. Let's go. 2 minutes to midnight? He's hiding.
Yeah, not all the time. Yikes.
Yeah. Because that was the thing, is that Gojo was around to keep a leash on him.
Yeah.
If anything went down. I'd say that's fair.
That is fair.
Malaysia. Are we going to see Yuta? What? They just got paid. Did they pay her off to leave? I thought she was fucking dead.
She just got out of there, took off. Can they teleport or something? Damn.
Fuck. I guess with that crazy natural disaster. Who's she talking to? Was she working with Umbrella Man the whole time? I thought that was just too... Oh, shit! Okay, I mean... He's just been fucked up this whole time. Okay, alright. We're playing the fucking ghetto theme again.
Oh.
Is he gonna do fucking Uzumaki? What is this? Oh no, he's just summoning one.
Whoa.
What the fuck was that?
Just messing with him. Those remind me of the things in Stardew, little like that come flying at you. Oh.
GG. GG.
Ew.
It was fun while it lasted there, big man. Gotta catch 'em all. I'm excited about that idea. Holy shit. Ooh. Discussion of the world to come.
You can finally see what his plan is. Kind of got a bad deal though. Like he only caught one of those cursed spirits.
Probably the best one though, right? I mean, Jogo maybe. Jogo maybe would have been good, but...
I mean, I feel like it would have just been better if you could get all of them, but... Yeah.
I wonder who the fuck Mei Mei was talking to.
I don't know.
Who's she talking to? Was sell all your fucking stocks and your real estate? Who was she talking to? I mean, the obvious answer is just Umbrella Man, but like he's talking to.
I don't think she would be talking to him because that would make
Did they say
sense.
Did they say the time of for her? They said the time was like 2 minutes to midnight.
I think it's at the same time because I think they just like teleported out of there or something.
I don't know. Supreme art. What's so funny about that? Just that that's such a stupid way to use the thing. Is he just gonna use Uzumaki with Mahito? Mahito?
Oh.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
This isn't good. Oh look, it's your descendant.
Ish.
I mean, literally. Wait, she has a scope now? She's got a rifle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Miwa?
Oh.
No, no, this is bad. Well, get ready. Careful what you wish for. Mahito?
Oh no.
Really?
Ew.
Are they all just gonna get transfigured right now? Or they all, she's dead. No way, she dies right here.
Oh god.
After all that shit with Mechamaru? Oh my fucking god. Oh no.
Oh. Oh my god. You guys need to watch out. There was a reason that you weren't invited to this.
He showed up too?
Boy. He wants answers.
What the fuck am I? Oh shit. Yes. We were just talking about this.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Literally with the umbrella. Back
Fucking
at it with the
told
umbrella.
you.
Oh boy.
I imagine people are like, everyone else is like, who the fuck is that? Who
Everyone
is
just
that?
Immediately forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah, seems
Well.
about right.
Yes!
Yeah.
Yes! Confirmed too. They went the
Oh,
step
boy.
further.
Oh god.
Rame. Why are you protecting him? Oh no. I thought he jumped in front of Geto.
Yeah. That did just happen.
So
I don't know, maybe they're all maybe not Geto and Rame are working together for something.
it must have to do with Sukuna's plan.
Playing life.
Side effect of technique. Yeah, they've been playing life. Oh. Yeah, we saw that in the original version of this scene. Oh.
That's crazy.
Oh, fuck.
Gonna get killed now.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I'm so special. Oh! Oh, shit. Is he gonna be able to do anything here?
No. He's not even phased at all.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder, is Mahito just used up then? Because Uzumaki usually uses up, but I guess what he was explaining was that it works differently if it's a higher grade.
Yeah.
How much blood is he using?
A lot. Look at his face. He's so smug.
Damn!
It's pretty sick.
That's fucking sick!
Uh-oh.
I think when he said, like, oh, that's just one of the many names I have, I think that's supposed to be, like, oh, since that name, I've had so many, so it means nothing to me anymore. But if you're thinking about the way we're thinking about it,
yeah,
then it kind of implies it's more than that. And I think that's what that was kind of about.
You know, I even get Yuji's perspective of just like, what the fuck is he talking about?
All these guys trying to be my brother. Like, it's the second guy today. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yes, it's not even about defeating him. You just need to get the prison realm. But he's probably storing it somewhere.
It was just still down in, like, the train station.
We saw Todo go there and say that it wasn't there. Ice!
Uh-oh.
Ice!
I'm just gonna get literally... Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
Everyone's getting frostbite. Well, now what?
Oh, shit. Reverse curse technique? Shit.
Guess when you've had like 1,000 years to do something, it's just easy.
Then I wonder...
Oh, no.
I wonder if Umbrella Man can even use reverse curse technique. He probably can. But Uraume must have been the one to heal Geto's body. When Gojo destroyed it, basically.
Yeah, because that was kind of the...
Yeah, it's like we saw he lost an arm and he was all fucked up. Like, we figured that the sorcerer took it over. Oh my god. But maybe not. Oh shit. Like,
can you...
I love how they're showing off how badass just Uraume is. What's her technique? We don't know her technique.
Oh boy.
Is Sukuna gonna pop out again?
Excuse me?
Great timing there, Yuki. God damn. What kind of woman is your type? Yeah! Oh, one of the only other fucking... Oh! What?
Shut up!
With one episode left, you're gonna leave us on a fucking cliffhanger like that? Brother. Jesus Christ. He's not too happy about another special grade. Wow. Very, They really showcased how badass Uraume is. I need... So, again, weird incest shit with Mei Mei. I don't know what the hell that's about. Who the fuck is she talking to? Who else would have real estate? Like, who...
Well, I don't think she's talking to any of the what would be the point? Because she's like none of them would have real estate or care about that kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe she's just talking to somebody completely unrelated, and it's more about exposition about like what will happen after. But she's talking to a sorcerer.
Yeah,
she's talking about techniques.
All right, it's morning where you are, so that means that it's not someone in Japan. Probably someone. Well, where's probably someone in like the States. Because like this comes out at night in Japan, but it's morning here.
Kuala Lumpur. What did they say the time?
Yeah.
They did.
11:36 at night.
It's not it's not the same time.
No.
Kuala Lumpur to JST.
It's the same.
Hmm?
It's the same time.
Oh, it's the same? No, it's an hour difference. And there is an hour difference. So this
hour
is
difference.
So this is a little bit before, like a couple, like 20 minutes before what we saw at the very beginning. But then, where would it be more? It would be in America.
In America, or anywhere on like the. Yeah.
Yeah, where would be morning? Like it must. I was thinking like it must be. It's just somebody probably in the States then. But I thought that the only person that I could think of is like whatever that guy that Yuta was with in Utah. We're like the only people who are outside that like are characters that we know, unless it's just somebody completely different. There was I forget his name. There's somebody that was set up with, I don't know if you even remember, with Utah when I think it was Todo was talking about like people who are like possible to succeed Gojo. They mentioned Utah, and then there's like another guy, and I don't know who he is, and we haven't met him yet, but I forget his name. Maybe he's off somewhere else right now, and that's why he's not here, because he's supposed to be like on that level of like badassery. But yeah, we haven't met him yet. I forget his name. We could go back and look, but I don't know if it's worth it. So she might be talking to him, but maybe not.
Someone very clear. Someone is a sorcerer, but someone who's not in Japan or any like close by areas.
And the only people who that could be are probably not who she's talking to, because they're in Africa.
Yeah.
Which it wouldn't be morning in Africa.
I don't think so.
It would be nighttime.
Yeah. Like earlier in like the evening.
It's like she's probably talking to somebody in like Hawaii or like West Coast US, most likely.
Yeah. Most
likely, but maybe somewhere else. I don't know. Probably not Africa. I mean, well, let's just look up like South African Malaysia time to South Africa time. I don't know the time zones. Yeah, it's early oh no, hang on.
No.
22:36. Oh no, it would be PM, so it can't be there. So what about just to PST? Yeah. West Coast is PST, West Coast United States. Would be 6:30 a.m.
Yeah.
So they're probably in America.
Or Canada, but like when does a TV
America
show
as in North or South America? Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Maybe Canada. You know, maybe they're chilling in Vancouver.
Somewhere in South America, but
when is an anime ever gonna? I mean, the only other anime that I know has like clear Canada is other than possibly Vinland Saga. We know Vinland Saga does. 2 is Yuri on Ice, because there's the gay guy from Canada who's like super flamboyant in that. Anyway, regardless of all that shit, Mahito slurped.
Yep. I feel like we kind of ruined this episode for ourselves. I mean, it was still very cool, but imagine if you had no idea.
Imagine if you had no idea,
and this would have been the craziest reveal of like, oh my god,
Kaminori Toshi, who the fuck is that? Yeah.
Or like if you remember Kaminori Toshi, then be like, oh my god.
I doubt anybody remembers Kaminori Toshi.
Unless you've been like really...
They mentioned 1.5 times. I think that there was, once. One time. Never mentioned other than... And not even mentioned in young Kaminori Toshi's backstory. They didn't talk about that. It's sort of subtextual that he was named after this big figure because he's like a bastard child and has the technique, or I guess he would go on to develop the technique, but the mom was like a concubine, not properly a part of the clan. Mm-hmm. So like named her kid after this historical figure, probably didn't even know that much about it, to like ingratiate herself in the family, I think is kind of like the implication there. And like sort of tie this child into the heritage of the family so that they accept him or more likely to accept him in the future.
Imagine if that's what happened and then it's just like, fuck.
Yeah, it's just like, oh wait, so Adolf Kamo, like literally.
It's kind of interesting though to think about it, because it's like Kaminori Toshi, like just from Kamo, like young Kamo's perspective, it's like that guy is like the most hated guy in his family, like disgraced the family name, like messed everything up for them, and then you find out that it like wasn't even that guy. You know what I mean? Like you kind of find out that like that like your actual like great grandfather or whatever was possibly not even that bad of a person and was literally possessed by a psychopath brain.
I think he was
Previously. Do we know like when he got? We don't know when he got possessed.
I guess like all of this. No, well, all the stuff related to why he was heinous is stuff that I guess Brain Man did.
Yeah, I mean he could have been like bad previously, but as far as the only thing that we like 100% know that he did was create the death paintings, and we know that. And human experimentation kind of generally. At that point.
Yeah.
He could have.
And we knew that before. They confirmed it here, but we knew that before.
Yeah. So,
because they don't talk about, before that, when he was a youngster, he also murdered a bunch of people.
Yeah, he like was murdering cats when he was 5 years old and torturing them out in the back alley.
It just makes me wonder, was the mustache Brain Man's idea, or was it this guy's idea? I mean, I guess it means something different in Japan, but still.
Just a suspicious looking mustache.
Yeah, I think it's an intentional mustache. And he was a great guy, he just had a really weird mustache choice. he was a good guy, he just liked that mustache style. And then he got possessed by an evil guy, and then he started doing the evil stuff. It's like, well, he had the mustache before, that's kind of a red flag, if I do say so myself. But holy shit, I think I'm the smartest fucking guy on YouTube at this point. Like, who else? Is there a single other person?
My favorite thing is just that the only reason that you worked so hard to figure this out is because you hallucinated the fact that Geto had an umbrella at one point.
Yeah, I did.
And then we were all screaming at you, the theory's still good, you don't need the umbrella to make the theory good, and then you were just still looking for the umbrella for like
Can
hours.
I add something on to all this? I still think it might be possible that the guys who are... This is completely separate. Like, I still think it's entirely possible that the guys who hire... I mean, we don't know... Okay, two things. We don't know where Brain Man was, what he was doing before Geto. We don't know what the fuck was going on there. But we do see a part of that timeline between 150 years ago, Kaminori Toshi, and modern day Geto Suguru Brain Man. Mm-hmm. We see a period, and it's the hidden inventory arc, and we see, actually, no, in episode 9 or 8 or whatever it was, we see Gojo flashback, or before that, actually, whatever episode it was. Kid Gojo sees the assassins, and then we see on the swan boats, there's a guy telling them to do that, and if we feed into that whole interpretation of like what Brain Man's idea of power is, like the fact that he might want to take over Gojo's body. I feel a lot of people wrote me off there, saying that like it was just some random guys like the broker that Toji was dealing with. It was kind of like the same thing. These like guys who were just sort of information brokers who like put out bounties or whatever. I still think it's possible that he was trying to capture Gojo then too, because the whole point of this arc was to capture Gojo, essentially. That was the end goal. And to, as a side thing, spring the trap in order to get Mahito. So I still think that could be, but that's a complete side thing. That was another separate theory that I had. But anyway, back to the main shit. Like, yeah, it must be so different to watch this shit without... Because, like, we had a live stream yesterday about Hunter x Hunter, and people were talking in that, like, yeah, honestly, at this point, I have no fucking idea what's going on with Jujutsu, and it's just, like, it's such a weird check to, like, hear people say that, because we are so the opposite. We are so concerned with every possibility of everything that's happening up to this point. Like, it's a kind of a reality check, because it just, like, you see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? It's just like how we're consuming the show must be so different to how. Well, yeah, if you're just casually watching it, or even just watching it but not rewatching it every 2 seconds. Yeah. I just didn't think of it. At this point, like, we're so deep into it that it's hard to even imagine like not treating it this way. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, but it's just like we knew this. How many episodes ago? At the start of the season. Yeah. Did you call... Wait, what was the thing with I just restated. Oh, it was the whole like brain transplant thing. You called that out in season 1. That was the thing. Remember when I put that at the start of one of the episodes?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That was your whole thing that
yeah.
you were like, oh, this is my theory. But then someone commented that in like season 1 episode whatever, when we first see Ghetto or something, then I actually said it, and it was like a big.
It was in like episode 8 of season
meme.
1, I think.
Yeah. But then I forgot about it as usual.
And then I came to the same conclusion during our rewatch, and then it was all crazy. But yeah, you figured that out. But like the brain transplant in hindsight, that's like the most obvious part and the smallest part of this whole thing. The whole idea connecting that to Kamo and all that shit. I don't know. I'm really, first of all, I like the story, like just apart from us, just the story and how this all turned out. I just love the way that this is turning out. So I'm happy in general. How did she survive the Uzumaki?
Because
they just parried it.
Yeah.
It must be to do with this technique to like parry shit like that. But that's like the strongest attack we've seen up to this point, because it's concentrated. But I need to rewatch what he said about techniques like that. Oh, before that, who was he talking about? Who was he talking about explaining the technique? Who was he talking about?
Oh, sorry, what?
When he started explaining shit to Yuji at the start, I forget when it was exactly, but he started laughing, and he was like, oh, sorry, I just reminded myself of something. Anyway, what were we talking? We were talking about Uzumaki, right. Who the fuck was he talking about? Was he talking, like,
Was he just saying that he was starting to act like Ghetto or something?
Maybe, but Ghetto didn't do that, like...
So I can't quite remember what you're talking about, so I want to see it.
I forget when it was. It was around here, I think. He's in the middle of explaining shit, and he's just like, oh, sorry. Anyway, what we were talking about? That was before this. Yeah, right there. You see? Like, I think... So, there's two things. I think that the first impulse is that he's talking about Ghetto, just because he's inhabiting his body. The idea might be, like how when Gojo's talking to... It was like reaching out to Ghetto's sort of lingering impression in the body. And he, like, started choking himself. It could be something like that. That, like, because he's inhabiting this body, there are lingering aspects that influence the personality, and it takes that strong, again, like how we talk about selfishness in the world, like, it takes that strong sense of self, and that, like, the whole idea of the shape of your soul. I know it's a Mahito thing, but as a theme, like, maybe that's the thing there, where if you do this, if you implant your brain into other people's body with their curse techniques and all of their spirituality sort of baked into their flesh, then you can kind of lose yourself and become like Tengen-sama as well. It's like, oh, I'm gonna assimilate, but I'm gonna be Tengen-sama. I'll be what's left at the end. You know, maybe it's possible that it's kind of setting up for that kind of thing. There's multiple things, like I just laid out, that kind of lay out to that kind of idea. Or that's part of it. It could meaning it could be that, and or just this on its own, could be setting up somebody else, like another historical figure. The only other two people we know from the Heian era, if this person is from the Heian era, we speculate it was, especially with the fucking dialogue from this episode saying, oh, that's just one of many names, alluding to, oh, well, after Kamo no Noritoshi, I have been this many people. It also equally alludes to there being people before that. But my point is, just to wrap up this thought before going into that, Sukuna and Raume are the only other people who we know from the Heian era. Only other three mentions, actually there's more. Two characters we know, Heian era. Raume, I think, probably, could be later. I mean, with Sukuna being as old as he is, Sukuna might be even way older than the Heian era, with the Yamato no Orochi shit going on there. Sukuna could be like 5,000 years old, potentially. Other than that, there's Tengen-sama, Heian era. We haven't met Tengen-sama, so it's not really a character so much, but that's a presence that has been alluded to be from the Heian era. The other two were a Gojo and a Zenin from the Heian era, who fought and that's when they were introducing Makara. Gojo, we flash back to Gojo talking to Megumi, being like, hey, so the Zenin and the Gojo clans kind of have a feud going on, because back in the day, there was like a...
Did he say in the Heian era, or did he just say...
Oh, he
like...
said back in the... Yeah, you're right. He said like a long time ago. But the golden age of... the Heian era is referred to in the series so far as the golden age of cursed techniques, or the golden age of cursed of sorcerers. So if this crazy legendary fight were to have taken place, I imagine it would have taken place then, especially since there's only been, we theorized, 2 to 4 people with the 6 eyes and the limitless technique in all of history, and the fact that Heian era is again described as like the golden age of jujutsu sorcerers probably happened at the Heian era. They seem to be building that up in the background a lot with all of these different things for, you know, to connect all of this shit to there. Sorry, what were you saying?
I was saying I don't think that it's alluding to, like, as you say, oh, it could be that it's just saying that Geto, or that Kama was, like, the first thing, or it could be alluding to the fact that he wasn't the first thing. I don't think it's alluding to anything. I think it's directly saying that he wasn't the first, given the scar on his forehead.
Oh, right, yeah.
So I don't think it's a secret, or like it's like hinting at that. I think it's just stating that so everyone's on the same page that Kama wasn't the first.
I think that it's, yeah, I think well, okay, here's because I'm trying to think of now, because of this wake up call, I'm trying to think of it as if you're not thinking about all this shit. So like people seeing that for the first time, I feel like seeing the scar and him saying that is more of a question, and it's not fully confirmed. It's like, it is confirmed, like, if you think about it, but, like, just seeing this ancient guy with a scar on his head, it's like, with the way that he says it to them, they didn't see the flashback to that guy. It's just like, oh, that's just one of many names I've had. That could mean either since then or before that, you know, like, it's ambiguous on purpose. And the scar is a good clue that it is before that, to kind of help you along if you haven't already figured that out, like us, way before that, you know. If you aren't looking back on all those episodes. So that's why that's there. Because if they didn't show that, we would go back and look at the fucking old man there. But, yeah, so I think it's about as much of a confirmation as you could get, but they don't outright say it, and I actually respect the show for that, but they let you kind of piece that together yourself. But he also said something here that I missed. Oh, we also got some lore on this as well. Earlier. He says something here, I forget what it is. Oh no, he doesn't. Okay, never mind. So the one thing we know about, I want to get to the Mahito thing, but the one thing we know about the new shadow style shit is that Mechamaru knew it because he was spying on Miwa with his little drones and shit. So he was able to figure that out and use it to his advantage in the fight, and this fucker knew about it already in the battle. Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't necessarily seem like a huge secret, because at this point I feel like we've met like multiple people that know about it.
They said it. They said that it was a secret. Do you remember that?
Yeah, but I think
like they said that it was like a secret thing that has been passed down from master to student. You cannot mention it to anybody. And there are derivations of like the simple domain, which kind of is a similar idea of like a domain expansion is, like fully realized version of this type of shit. The new shadow style being able to protect yourself from a domain. Yeah, it's kind of expanded to the point where that's kind of like just a normal thing most like higher level people can do at this point. But the fact that it was clearly introduced to be like they said it was a secret technique that's been passed down specifically so that the wrong people would not be able to defend against this attack. He defends against it perfectly. He's an ancient man. Either the idea that he is defending against it is supposed to let you know that he is ancient enough to have seen like the...
Or he's just on another level and she's just so weak.
Yeah.
That it doesn't
I mean, like,
matter
power
if she
scaling-
can get like a direct hit. If your like ultimate most direct hit is just too weak for the other guy.
I think that they're trying to say something more with it than just he's stronger than her, like just as a power scaling thing. So I'm trying to like deduce, like, why include all the words? Like, you could just have her, oh, this is my special move, attack. Oh, he blocks it. That's it. And that is a component of it. But that's not, so far, usually with things like this, especially when they say, oh, this is a big secret and only a few people know about this, it's to illustrate something and to like, as a point of exposition and sort of action-based storytelling. And again, the fact that we know he's like an ancient guy or whatever is sort of, I wonder if that's it. It's just like, oh, he's really powerful, but it's also the secret jutsu that like not everyone's supposed to know, and he defends against it perfectly, probably because he was taught it along the way. Or what if it's crazy and he invented it and it's just his thing, his technique as like the ancient scientist guy who's like experimenting with all these different ways. I don't know. I would like to go back maybe to that episode with Mechamaru to see that again, to kind of refresh us on that. But with Mahito here, I just want to watch him explain
what he was doing.
All of that again, because with Uzumaki, he explains that it uses up your stock. That's the point of it, is like it takes all the cursed spirits that he knows. It's the supreme art, and it's like the final form of Geto's curse technique. It mushes everything together, all the cursed energy that he's collected, and then fires it out like a Kamehameha blast. And it's super concentrated and probably the most powerful single attack, more than purple, that we know of. I mean, purple has like sort of gravitational, hollow purple has like gravitational aspects to it, so it's already like super overpowered, and it's something that Gojo can just kind of do. But regardless, as far as an attack with cursed energy, it's by far the most powerful. So did he just slurp up Mahito? And so this is the thing, is we have to consider, like, did he just slurp up Mahito and all of Mahito's character was just this unceremoniously blocked, parried attack? That's it? He's like, oh, Uzumaki, big attack. Entire character that was built up in this entire interplay. He sucks up Mahito in this super switcheroo moment, and then the entirety of Mahito's character led up to just a blocked ki blast. Just bam, like a failed Rasengan, essentially. And that's it. It's like they built up this whole thing where, oh, I'm gonna bring this thing under my control, and then in one move, in like 5 seconds, it's just erased
destroyed
from existence. It feels like if that's the case, it would squander the potential for Geto to be even more powerful and like a bigger threat in the future, because Geto having the abilities of Mahito essentially in his pocket along with everything else is far more scary to me as far as a future setup to future arcs than him shooting him out, completely blowing his load entirely and just ruining it, like, and then it's basically as if Mahito had just died. Like, what's the difference between him using Mahito in a failed attack and, like, from a writing perspective, like, why would you go through all this effort to set up him getting sucked up like this, or in order for him to just get used up in this attack? It's like it kind of ruins the entire point of all this setup.
Can we rewatch where he said that? Because I didn't recall him saying that it just gets rid of them. I thought that it said that it was like a good way of like combining your inventory, essentially, of like taking the low-level ones and making them into one bigger
Since
one.
we're rewatching, let's check out what Geto says about it himself in Zero, and then we'll rewatch where he says it in the episode. It's like his final big attack at the end here. Uzumaki, he says. So yeah, he starts using Uzumaki, and he says that he'll combine them into a strike.
Gojo looks so weird in the movie.
They're even doing the walk. Fucking movie.
Guess we didn't really get to see him use it at all.
Uzumaki?
Yeah, like he didn't like strike anything with it. He just got obliterated because Rika was just too powerful.
Well, it just turned into a beam struggle, but well, this is that same scene. I didn't even notice.
Let's go see what.
Yeah, see what he says in the episode.
Because he did say like, oh, it's actually good when you have a special grade curse in there, and obviously we saw when actual Geto did it, he had a special grade, but he didn't combine it into that. He left it out. So I wonder if that makes it so that you can like keep using it because there's a special grade in there, so it's more powerful and like has like a technique that overpowers all the other ones and like becomes amplified.
Because it seems like he was just using Uzumaki here, not with all the curses at his disposal. It looked like it was just Mahito in there. Like in the movie, you could see all these different curses kind of and all these different spirits kind of swirling in there. But in this one, it looked very much just like Mahito. To believe catfish are connected to earthquakes. Stories of such a monster up until the mid-Edo era. Onomazu. Oh, he's just explaining this curse that he's calling out. Which does sound like Geto from the movie. Like the way that he explained shit as well in the fight. So he counters the hole by jumping over, and then he sends out the centipedes.
Imagine Mahito had been able to touch him and just like totally fuck him up. And then it's just such a messed up thing too, because it's like, if Mahito had been a little bit stronger, then like then Geto wouldn't have just been able to like instantly get him.
Yeah.
It's just such a crazy thing.
And he didn't need to make a pact, because he could still do it even if he was stronger, but he'd have to make a pact. Is what
and
we found
Mahito
out.
would never do that.
Yeah, he wouldn't give up his autonomy for whatever he had to offer. So, and also the thing with like him using him up, like I don't think that he is using up Mahito permanently, because what would be the point of like giving Mahito this crazy power up and then having him get sucked up just for him to get used up? Again, it's like, what's the point?
And like,
of
why would
putting
he
all this
bother
into
using it on literally useless Miwa? Like,
literally useless
like,
Miwa.
No offense to Miwa, but like, he could have just like flicked her and she probably would have died, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he is just talking about Geto. Throwing away the quantity of options.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it uses them up like fuel for the attack. But he's saying if you use a special grade, it changes. And their technique is extracted. Oh, so so he's saying, so maybe it does use it up. And he just fucked up here. And Gege just set all this up just to squander it in one attack. That seems unlikely, so I'm gonna assume that he can still do it at some point. And
I would think so.
But the fact, it's just the wording. But again,
but
you never trust the subs.
Could be absolutely
the subs for
atrocious.
Jujutsu are so fucking bad.
And it's always on like something that's like something very important, and they just like use like a slightly wrong word that still like kind of makes sense, but gives you a completely wrong impression.
Yeah. It's like if they said the curse allow, like using curse. So what he's explaining is that the difference is if they're a special grade or semi-first grade or higher. Basically, if they're special grade on that level, these crazy high level shits with like a super interesting curse technique, like say if you did this to Jogo, it would be like a fire Uzumaki. It would be like a crazy volcano Uzumaki. With Mahito, it's a transfiguration Uzumaki. So if anybody, even if it didn't kill them, if it touched them, they would die or get transfigured and die into some random crazy abomination. So that's what they're saying.
I love how he's like, yeah, I don't know why people aren't using guns.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like they should all just have guns, like, just in case,
Just
you know?
in case.
Like, okay, you're like, your thing is sword fighting, but you've broken your sword arm. You pull out your gun with your other arm, you fucking shoot the guy in the face.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't work well on curses, but if you're fighting a curse user, then you know, we've seen it in action.
I wonder if he's saying that there with the gun specifically to make us think about Toji.
It seems like a Toji callback. But
then that's interesting because we've always been thinking like I still okay. We with this episode we saw Uraume use reverse curse technique. Did we know that before? I don't think we did.
We didn't.
Uraume using reverse curse technique. With how we just rewatched the end of the movie. Fucking Geto is over there, destroyed, and then Gojo, we hear a knife and a slashing sound, like he slit his throat. But if you kill especially somebody like Geto with a bunch of cursed spirit, I guess at that point you didn't have them stored because you used them in Uzumaki. But if you kill a cursed sorcerer without curse energy, it's said that they turn into a curse themselves. That's super powerful. And being that Geto's body is here with us now, and being that Gojo doesn't use knives, he uses his curse technique. He probably uses curse technique to kill him, and they just put the stock slicing sound effect.
They needed to have a sound effect that would be like, this is the killing sound.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they did that on purpose so that you know, but they didn't show it to keep it kind of ambiguous a little bit. But yeah, the idea is that Gojo killed him using his technique, probably. But he was already fucked up beyond what we see here, and we figured that somebody who, if they're from the Heian era or even just Kaminori Toshi, he probably had reverse curse technique, but not everybody does. It's not usually something that you can just learn unless you're super gifted. But you know, he would be if he's been around this time.
And to use it on other people, that's the other thing. Like, Gojo can use it, but he can only use it on himself. He can't use it on other people. So, and we see Urama use it, and maybe that's just, they can use it on themselves, but knowing that Geto was, like, dead, either Brain Man, like, mad scientist, like, stitched him all back together, went and found his arm, or, like, got an arm off of some dead person and, like,
because we don't see him with his shirt off.
There.
We see him
so
in his
we don't
cloak.
know. And obviously, to be able to perform a brain transplant, he could do it by himself, but that seems very difficult. So now seeing that Uraume is kind of like working with him, then it makes it seem like Uraume has been helping Geto or Umbrella Man, Brain Man guy do this, basically.
Yes, yeah.
For something to do with Sukuna, as we saw, you know, which means that it would be unlikely for, like, yeah, it still begs the question of, like, what do they want?
Yeah.
Do they just want to all three of them out and super powerful? Or
I think Sukuna is literally just, like, he's on the self-improvement grind. I think Sukuna is just, he wants to be,
Sigma grind
he's trying to become, like, an ultimate being himself, separate from everything, and, become a god implies that he cares about people worshiping him. I don't think he does. I think he just cares about the freedom that comes with being unbound from all necessity, all expectations, from all physical limitations and mental and emotional limitations. Mm-hmm. I think he just seeks that being completely unrestricted, and he's going to get that through ultimate power, and he's been seeking that through that, and by associating not with humans, not with cursed spirits, he just associates with himself, and that's you know, that's kind of it.
Also, really interesting, the ice powers here. Like, that's very different from anything that we've seen, and I think people even commented on it, like, wow, this is, like, very different and very
high
powerful.
level, like, just creating that much ice
out of nothing.
Out of nothing.
I mean, we've seen people
maybe
that
the
have,
moisture
like,
in the air.
Well, the interesting thing is, like, we've seen, like, usually people don't have, like, because, like,
they don't have elemental powers.
No, like,
Jogo.
Jogo had fire, but he was literally the cursed spirit of volcanoes. Yeah. And we see Sukuna have, like, a fire technique, but it's Sukuna, so all bets are basically off at that point. But yeah, this is interesting. And then we have frickin' what's-her-name showing up at the end.
Yuki.
Yeah, Yuki showing up.
With some kind of we still don't know her shit. She's a special grade. She's one of 4. There was Gojo.
She's Yuji's mom, and that's his dad, the cursed spirit.
I mean, that was my original theory, is that this was Yuji's mom, because they look so similar. But now we know that she's not that old, and we know that pretty much with a lot more certainty that Yuji is probably related to fucking Brain Man.
Yeah, I know, but like Choso said, he's like, I have 3 parents. My mom, the cursed spirit that impregnated my mom, and then Kamo, who threw his blood in the mix.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how I call that, like, this episode, too. She was just, like,
happily married with her cursed spirit here. That's why it's always carrying around with her, and she, you know, she had her baby, she didn't want it, dropped it off at her dad's house, took off. Teen pregnancy.
We're only making serious theories here. I don't think she's related at all to Yuji in any way. Do you? I think that the more we learn, the less likely it is.
I think, like, she could be, but at the same time, I really want to know what her deal is and why she's getting involved now after...
She probably just got here.
I know, but, like, she specifically before said that she, like, stays out of anything to do with, like... other sort, like, she doesn't get involved, like...
I mean, this is different. This is...
Yeah, this is...
Shibuya, the most populated, I think, area in Tokyo, just got fucking obliterated. Like, this is an iconic area in Japan. Like, you don't just, you know... This is straight up the 9/11 of this world, what we're witnessing right now. So, you know...
Yeah.
It's a little bit different than just, like, getting involved in the squabbles of sorcerers. Mm-hmm. So, what do you mean by that?
I guess it's like, where was she and she heard about this and she came flying over, or did she, like, know
Maybe
more?
Mei was calling her. I don't know.
That would be, well, then she would have had to been in a different time zone. She could teleport.
We don't know her power. Ui can teleport.
Seemingly, yeah.
I don't know. She rides a bike. I don't know, maybe she was just on the way here. I don't know, maybe she was in the area and she came here, saw it on the news or something. I don't think there's any mystery with her. I think she just showed up here and she's gonna fight now. I think that's kind of it. And her being here will be enough to actually scare off. What's gonna happen is she's here to scare off Big Man. Now that we've had this big resolution, now Mahito's taken care of, and she's also here to possibly secure Yuji's life. Because now...
she's like, oh, I will,
Gojo's not here, but I'll
come out of retirement and I'll, you know, babysit him, essentially.
Until, you know, whatever, we figure out what's going on with Gojo, or... Unless Gojo's just trapped for the rest of the story, but I doubt it. Yeah. I think that's the only reason why she's here. I don't think there's a big mystery with her. I think that she's probably just, like...
Showing up, gonna put up a good fight, and then...
Yeah. And tease her for future encounters, yeah. Or just get killed. That would be insane, but...
That would be insane. Imagine everyone has, like, all these crazy theories about her. She just shows up, gets clapped.
Yeah. But she's special grade, and she was special grade before Gojo and Geto. And he's like... He shows up, and she's just like... She shows up, and he's like, ah, fuck. Mm-hmm. And she's very confident, and she taught Todo everything that he knows, and... yeah, is a... confirmed badass, like one of now, I guess 5. There was Gojo, Geto, her, Yuta. Who else? That's it?
I think that's it.
Yeah, the 4. That's what Geto said in the movie. And yeah, so she's one of the most powerful people that we know so far. What else? I mean, there's all the shit with Choso.
Mm-hmm. That's so sad. He's like fighting so hard, and he's so upset.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, he basically, like, in the fight kind of realized, like, had this connection kind of formed. Mm-hmm. It's interesting how he went from, like, it feels like, to me, if I can give a little bit of, like, criticism, it feels like kind of a crazy turn for his character to happen in this way.
Well, I think it's because in the beginning he was like fighting for his brothers. Like him and his brothers were like, okay, we need to like make a world where we can exist.
Yeah.
So we need to like fight against the people. Then his brothers died, and it was like, okay, I'm gonna get revenge for the people that killed my brothers. And then he realizes that the entire time he was being manipulated into killing his other brother that was like hidden from him. So to him, I think it just feels like a huge betrayal, and I guess I can see where he's coming from, because it's like the thing that's most important to him is his family, and he almost just killed his younger brother.
Yeah. What I meant by criticism is that to me it feels like he wasn't, maybe, I mean, we know actually that there was some connection between him and Yuji from the beginning, but his personality feels like it kind of came out of nowhere. It feels like, I don't know. It's hard to say, because as we've talked about this whole time, this was intentionally built up, but it also just kind of feels like he was not a character. He was like nothing.
Yeah, well, he didn't have a ton of personality.
And then up until here, he just has so much personality, and then gets introduced and he's doing this crazy fight and all this stuff. I don't know. It's cool. I'm not saying it's not cool. Criticism's a harsh word for what I mean by that. It feels like his personality just kind of came out of nowhere, and it's like we need to what it really feels like is it feels like Gege is like, he's gonna be part of our group now, so we just kind of need to. There needs to be like some way to have like a change in the audience's perspective of him, and the best way to do that is to have him, turn into a likable character in this fight and fight with the good guys against the bad guys in this last little thing to hopefully get some like some credit, and then for him to be like, why don't you try it once for starters? Call me Oni-chan. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I love how the characters in the show are like, didn't Todo already like pull that shit with you?
Yeah,
like,
I love how they're like, you must have some dangerous pheromones or something. Yeah.
Are you my brother too? Like, yeah. I don't know at this point.
Yeah, it's sick. I was gonna say something about Urame earlier, but I forget what it was. I guess not much. Just like, Urame must have been around. Yeah, that's the only thing that makes sense, is that Urame must have been around this whole time. Since maybe Urame is just a master. Like, so ice power, reverse curse technique. That to me sounds like a good recipe if they're in tune enough with their bodies
to just be
immortal. Like that, preserving their body for a crazy, super insane amount of time. Mm-hmm. So that tracks with me. Probably just stalking. Like, I bet Uraume must have been with whoever Brain Man was inhabiting before.
Yeah.
Right? So, like,
that's what I think. Because
speaking of which,
because here's the other thing. Sukuna saw Uraume instantly and, like, recognized them. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, that means that Uraume must have been, like, looking like that and sounding like that the last time Sukuna saw them, which would have been, like, 1,000 years ago. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Visual recognition.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I'm looking, there's the shot in OP2 of Kamo and some figure. Skipped over. Again, it looks like a sword. Is there somebody in the foreground? Oh no, it's just another like soldier person. So that's Kamo, right?
Yeah.
We're pretty aware of that now. This looks like an older person.
Yeah.
With the hat, we haven't seen any
and
straw hat.
That's
Luffy.
the other thing is like Urame might not be around all the time. Like Urame might be doing other stuff or like staying in the background on purpose.
Maybe just literally frozen. Like literally frozen. Maybe, you know, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Froze themselves so to preserve. Yeah, literally cryostasis, waiting for the right time.
1 day a week.
Maybe holding a finger so that if there's like a pulse in the finger that one of them got eaten somewhere, they could like sense that and then spring into action to resurrect their god or something. But I'm always enamored in this shot from OP2 of this person, and we know that there's a connection with like the new Shadow style. So sword, new Shadow style. I think I pointed that out before in speculation, but we've always figured that this must have something to do with like the death paintings or something.
Well, to me, this maybe looks like the moment that he's kidnapping that woman.
Oh, probably.
Like busting in
you're
her
probably
house.
right. Yeah, you're probably right. Then I wonder if this is like a Zenin or another person from the Kamo clan or something, or I mean, the sword to me says like new Shadow style or something, but we don't know all the details of all that. But it would explain the connection between, like we keep seeing the connection between Brain Man / Geto and the new Shadow style, like with Mechamaru in this fight, how he just blocks it instantly. Maybe there's something there, maybe not. Oh, I just realized, is there beta fish in this? OP? I never even saw that. There's like a flower in water and beta fish like swirling around it. Oh no, it was just that same fish. It's a different fish. All the fingers in the water, I never noticed that. But yeah, Urame, like that's the only piece that's missing, because that's the only person that we don't
know anything
about.
And
and Geto, yeah, this is 100%. Brain Man in season 1, like, brought in Uraume into the whole cursed spirit group and everything. So and that to me lends more credence to the fact that Sukuna and whoever Umbrella Man was is probably from the Heian era. Like, it's probably that old. Like, along with all the other things we talked about before, but like it being the age of cursed spirits or whatever, or cursed fucking sorcerers, Jujutsu sorcerers. The golden age of sorcerers. So they probably made a deal or something in the past to like, maybe they do it together and then they'll like they're working together to ascend to this greater plane of power as like a weird competition rivalry, and then they'll like betray each other, maybe they're both setting themselves up for like the ultimate battle. Like that's why Sukuna wants Megumi. And why Umbrella Man might want Gojo. Because in the Heian era, there was that battle between the two most powerful guys. So if they both take over, the two most powerful incarnations of each of these most powerful clans.
They just want to cosplay that fight.
They want to live for 1,000 years, get all that experience of fighting from every technique possible, and then when two vessels are born with the two most powerful possible techniques, they're like, wow, I want a piece of that. I don't even want to live forever. I just want to experience that. That would be crazy. If it's literally, and it would make sense.
If I die, that's how I want to die.
Literally. That would make sense with Gege's, like, because Gege really loves a good fight, you know?
Yeah.
Gege loves, it's like so much of the story is like coming up with really strong reasons for a good fight to happen, and like setting things up really well, and all the action-based storytelling. And like, a lot of the show is just sort of, finding an excuse for these insane fights to happen. So what if that's literally the point? That's like there's two ancient figures are working together in like competition, like in a shonen way, how like having a rival sort of brings you higher, and they're working against each other to just get to this point where they can just completely obliterate the planet with their power.
Then what's in it for Uraume?
Uraume worships that. It's kind of like, from Uraume, I get very Yelena vibes from Attack on Titan, of like, I just want to see the world that you create. I want to see the heights that you can reach, that type of shit. That would be insane if that was literally it. They just literally I'm gonna live as long as possible, not because I want to be immortal, but because I want to die spectacularly. That would be insane.
That would be pretty crazy.
And that would make sense with with that setup of the Gojo versus fucking... I don't know. Or maybe not. Maybe they're not working. But they have to be working together, because Uraume is like fully dedicated seemingly to Sukuna.
Yeah.
And is helping Umbrella Man here.
Yes.
So, you know, there must be some kind of
preparations ready or whatever. So there must be something. I just don't know what it is, and maybe next episode we'll get like a little, like I just feel like we need like a little something more about Uraume.
Yeah.
And then we can...
Well, because the other option, I think, other than them wanting to fight, like what I would, if this was like another series or whatever, or like another way this could go is like they're both evolving to the point where they can merge into one thing and be ultimate power, like, and then they can reach, like, combine and reach like a new ultimate level of power. But the way Sukuna was talking to Jogo after their fight in that like white world where they're, you know, he's passing on or whatever, it didn't seem to me like Sukuna, and just in general, Sukuna doesn't give the vibe of somebody who wants to compromise himself at all.
Yeah.
In order to gain greater power. He will gain the power his way. He's like a shonen protagonist who has gone too far and who is disconnected from reality. And he was a shonen protagonist like thousands of years ago and did his story, attained like Naruto level godhood, and then just kept going until he was just untethered from his humanity. And like, because the way Gojo talks as like a mirror to Sukuna is like a villain. He talks like he's a bad guy or like an anti-hero. And then Sukuna, whenever he's talking to people that he's like, good fight, man. Good fight, you did well. Whereas Gojo's like, you're a weak piece of shit and you're beneath me. You know, but and that's kind of an interplay between them and a mirror of them as characters. Anyway, yeah, I wonder if that's literally it. If they just are reaching this high level of power. And then what if, like, yeah, I don't know. That would be insane. That would be insane. Because, yeah, with Gojo, it was mentioned when Gojo got sealed, like, oh, well, whether it's in 100 years or 1,000 years, I'll release you at some point, or you'll get out at some point. And we theorized that, like, why would this guy who ended up possessing one of the most powerful people want to possess Gojo? Well, it's because his whole thing is he body swaps and possesses people. But we also know that he doesn't have an immortality technique. You know, like, he doesn't have a thing to preserve the bodies. He needs to eventually switch bodies again. So even if he does go, unless he knows something from his vast array of knowledge of living this whole time, doing all these experiments,
or if he's getting healed, like,
but like Gojo could do that too, and I don't think it was ever implied that like Gojo's reverse curse technique could keep him immortal. I think that because people have reverse curse technique, and the only person who is immortal is Tengen, that we know, who doesn't have to like do some like Sukuna did a crazy sort of soul manipulation thing to turn into fingers so that he could be reborn and reincarnated eventually with all of his memories and shit. But the only person who, like, in their body was born and continues to live with sacrifices being brought to them is Tengen. And Tengen can't move. Tengen's a tree. So, like, you know, so all the saying is there's no way, other than unless we learn something from Uraume, there's no way to, like, to just extend, to, like, you know, keep the body fresh. Otherwise, you know, it would have happened probably with somebody else, unless Geto's...
It's also interesting,
you know,
like, if Uraume is just, like, a healer, essentially, or, like, not much. It's interesting the way, then, that, like, Sukuna, not Umbrella Man, and Uraume kind of, like, are like a main trio.
Oh, shit.
Essentially, like, they are... You know, like, what's even her name? Shoko?
Shoko, yeah.
Shoko, Gojo, and Geto. It's like you have, like, the one guy who's like, he's like, oh, I'm literally talking like Geto right now. And then you have Sukuna who's like, I don't even care. I'll do whatever I want.
That's crazy. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, and one of them's literally possessing
Geto right now.
And then the other one is, like, a literal mirror image of Gojo's personality. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is insane. I wonder if we're literally onto something, and that's actually what it's about. Like, if that's the end goal here, it would fit so well with like just the whole vibe of the show.
It's like, you know? It's like like in spoilers for Naruto. It's like how it's like, oh, Madara and Hashirama, they're like just the reincarnations of like these ancient guys, and then it's like in this it's like literally. They're not the reincarnations. These guys are literally just still here.
Yeah. Yeah, like that again, like we talk with so many things about how this series is kind of like if all of the setup wasn't like all the setup in Naruto of like Sakura's useless, she has no place in the story, she should just die. Nobara gets fucking killed, you know. They're setting up for the whole Megumi being like Sasuke and Orochimaru getting taken over. What if that just fucking happened? What if it's literally like that, where it's like, you know, like how Madara and Hashirama get, you know, brought back, and it's like Madara's whole plan was to get brought back and manifest in like the modern day. Yeah. And then he just gets killed instantly. Well, it's like and in fucking in Naruto, it's like there's sort of it feels like it's sort of gonna do that with spoilers, Obito. It's like Obito is like keeps saying he's Madara, and then as Madara's dying, he like entrusts his will to Obito to like bring him back eventually. That's kind of like a Uraume and Sukuna relationship, sort of, but more genuine, because Obito was doing that in order to fuck with Madara to actually gain the control and like, you know, put an end to the ninja world in his own way, in his own hateful way or whatever. There's sort of, it's more complicated than that, but what if this is just like, again, delivering on like what in Naruto was set up for the good guys to prevail and for everything to just be, you know, play out how you would expect. What if it's set up and it's just going to play out the way that, you know, not like the villains always win necessarily. I imagine it's not gonna be that bleak, but play out for the sake of, you know, maybe the plans will go further and it's actually gonna be like that. And yeah, Madara and fucking Hashirama are gonna manifest, but they're not both good guys. They're both two sides of Madara. An evil coin. Yeah. Well, there's Madara and Orochimaru, you know, and Umbrella Man's a lot more like Orochimaru, and Madara is a lot like Sukuna. It's so interesting, and I that would be so sick if they literally like 1,000 years ago were chilling together and watched this crazy fight and were like, you know, hear me out. How crazy! What if
that was it's like
this could be us? Yeah. But you know what?
This could be us.
Oh my god!
This could be us, but we got born into the wrong bloodlines.
Yeah, I was born in the wrong era. I'm more of a 2010 baby. Yeah. Holy shit! Could you fucking imagine that? Could you imagine how insane that battle would be if that ever does happen?
I guess the thing about that is, like, at that point, it's like, then like, what's, like, everyone else dies at that point, and then it's like, then what's the end of your story? The bad guys win, they kill every person, and then they fight to the death, and then they both die.
That's the thing.
And then it's like, I mean, like, that's fine, but what's the why did you bother to write that?
I think just because it might be fun. I think just because it might be fun to write that. Like, I can see the necessity of that kind of a story in a world that is so full of, you know, like so many other things that just kind of work out. Like, there's no other story that would end like I don't know another story that ends like that. You know, like other than some like Berserk. But that's like in preparation for a much longer tale. That's like a prologue type thing, the way that ends. I don't know any other story that like is fun to watch and is interesting, where like the villains are threatening, have 1,000 years to plan, or, you know, like something I talk about with My Hero. It's like this guy, All For One, has like 20 years to plan or more this whole crazy thing, and he has all these crazy schemes going on. And then what does he do in the actual fight?
Spoiling it for me?
I've already talked about this like 20 times with you around. Oh. I can stop.
I don't remember.
I've literally said this like a million times.
Fine, I guess.
Okay, I won't say it, but this is probably literally the 10th or 20th time that I've talked about this in your presence. But fine, if you don't want me to say it, I won't say it. Anyway, it's just like pick your poison. Any shonen, it's like, oh, I went through all of this planning for so long to set up this shit, and the villains always set up so intelligent. They're so ruthless. They're willing to sacrifice anything. They don't have no compassion in their heart. They have no attachment to anyone in the real world. They're completely driven by their ambition. Useless. And then they just make a stupid misstep based on their fucking backstory, or just the main character is just stronger inexplicably, and like none of their plans come to fruition. And then it's like, well, why would you go through all this thing of planning all the shit? Well, it's to make them menacing so that the main character can defeat them. But what if they were just actually that menacing and actually that intelligent to plan this shit out that much? And what if having 1,000 years of experience in battle and science and technology literally is substantive in a fight? Like, it matters, and their experience... You know, when Yuki shows up here, he's smart enough to also be like, fuck this, I'm gonna leave, probably. I think that's probably what's gonna happen here. I don't think he's gonna get killed here.
No.
There's no way, again, it's like, why would you set up all this stuff with Mahito, all the stuff with Gojo, for them to, at the end of all of this in Shibuya, all of this destruction, this, like, lowest point, why would you set all of that up just for the main villain to get murked, Gojo to get saved, everything to return to normal? That story's not going that way. There's too much setup, like so much was set up in order for all of this to happen. There's no way it's just fixed instantly at the end in this next episode. No fucking possible way. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I think we might be onto something with that. If we aren't, that kind of sucks, because like what you brought up of I don't know. I'm just dreaming of this, like, insane battle one day. But it would mean, in a fucked up way, it would mean that Gojo is dead, and he dies tragically the same way that, like,
that his best friend did.
Yeah, that his best friend did. His body. So, like, imagine that arc of Gojo, his best friend, turns to the dark side, then he has to kill his best friend. Yeah. Then he sees his best friend puppeted by like a super ultimate demon man who is a time traveling like timeless deep fucking evil motherfucker, takes control of his body, seals Gojo gets released, he gets taken over by the same guy and dies instantly. And then in that time, Megumi, Gojo's son, adopted, you know, he's responsible for him, is killed in the time, or not, maybe not, I guess if it's Sukuna, he doesn't have to die, but basically die, as by, if it's 20 fingers, if we're going whole hog with this, Sukuna fully takes over Megumi's body, imagine that from Gojo's perspective, Gojo, and that would, imagine how tragic that would be, because Gojo, from the beginning, from the second episode, the strongest. Gojo's the strongest. He's the strongest guy. But he, imagine that, a world where it's just, he's set up like that, and he fails. Honestly, it'd be even... completely.
It would be even more of a fuck you to Geto, because, like, it was, like, their whole thing of, like, we're the strongest, and it's, like, actually, Gojo's the strongest, and you're, like, his best friend, and then it's, like, he could never get on that level, and even the villain is like, yeah, I have Geto, and he's pretty good, but, like, fuck this guy, because Gojo's better. He's not, like, the body that I have, literally not the strongest, I'm gonna go for the other guy, you know?
Mm-hmm. I wonder what the supreme art of Infinity is. Is it just purple?
Probably.
But he didn't say supreme art when he does it. Or does he? Maybe he does, and I just missed it. Maybe we could go back and look at that. But
maybe you don't have to say supreme art. They're just trying to, like, call attention to it more.
Yeah, but the fact that he says supreme art in the movie, which means he says it in the prequel manga, or the prologue manga. You know, like the fact that, so that was, because originally when we rewatched the movie, we were like, oh, Uzumaki is clearly, like, if this is a first draft of the story, then he's like, fuck that character, or, like, you know, I want to start the story this way, but I'll still make this canon. And the way he used that to foreshadow the events of Shibuya, like the thousand curse march, whatever the fuck it's called, in the prologue, and then all the mirroring I could go on, that writing, like, that is so genius. I can't get over how well he set up this whole arc and this whole thing. Anyway, what the fuck was I saying? What was I saying? What was I talking about?
I don't know.
No, what was I talking about?
Supreme
Please.
art.
Oh, yeah. Because when we first rewatched, we were like, okay, the real, like, superpower big move is, like, the domain expansion. But that wasn't in the movie at all. Nobody used a domain expansion. We figure probably because he didn't think of a domain expansion. And so he made the ultimate move be the domain expansion. Then Uzumaki is just kind of like, you know, that's the beam struggle low-level shonen ability that, you know, is kind of scrapped. But the fact that he brings it back here and also calls it Supreme Art and sort of develops that as an idea with curse techniques is interesting. And it means that there is, like, you know, it's a thing in the world, and he's thought about it as a thing in the world. And it's not just, you know, something that he scrapped from early on. This is the last I'll say about this. I really hope that Mahito's not because I really love Mahito or something, but because there's just so much setup into this.
It would just be such a dumb thing for Geto to do.
It would be anticlimactic.
He had an ulterior motive to just, like, get rid of all, but he, like, hyped it up of, like, oh, I'm, like, glad I finally get to use this.
Yeah. Well, maybe by using, maybe we're misinterpreting it, and by extract the cursed technique, it's like he uses up the cursed spirit and then he takes the technique for himself.
Maybe. I just the word extract, I feel like that somebody is fucking up with the translation there.
It does feel like that, yeah.
Like, even when I first saw it, I was like, this word is very specific, and I feel like it's maybe not the right word. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I feel the same way.
It has been bothering me the whole time because I'm like, I feel like it's just really giving, like, a bad subtitle.
Cursed womb, death painting, malevolent kitchen vibes.
Not even malevolent kitchen. It's giving the kind of thing that is so close, but just enough off to, like, give you the wrong impression.
Yeah, because I think that
to make you misunderstand what the technique is doing. Because
think about it this way. I think that we are deeper into examining the series than whoever's writing the subs is, you know? So, like, and we're struggling with it still. And so many, like we just talked about in the live stream yesterday, it was like, most people are confused about everything that's happening, you know? And that's fine, because it's confusing, but, like, what does that mean for somebody whose job it is to translate all of this if they don't have the full picture because they're not as crazy into this show?
They're not, like, caught up on the manga and know exactly
and maybe they are, you know, maybe it's presumptuous, but it's happened so many times with this show specifically because the wording is so important and complicated that the subs often, like, when it's a very critical thing, there's, like, some little off thing that, like, is 90% right, but, like, that extra 10% causes a lot of confusion.
Yeah, when it's, like, completely wrong, like, you know, Roy getting involved in Turkey or something, it's like, you can tell, but when it's, like, the point that you can't tell either way, then, like, I feel like that's when it's the worst.
Big time. I still have so much that I want to say. The mother, the cursed spirit. What if the cursed spirit, it was literally, oh no, because Sukuna is a sorcerer too.
Yeah.
I was like, what if the cursed spirit is Sukuna? That'll be insane. Or what if the cursed spirit is fucking Mahito? Like, we said that, I think at the start of the episode, we guessed that might be the case. Like a previous iteration of Mahito. That would be crazy. If it was a previous iteration of Mahito that impregnated Chozo / Yuji's mom.
I feel like they have different
moms. They would have different moms, wouldn't they? Because if Yuji grew up like a person, unless he was also a death painting and got put into a baby. We never considered that, but the fact, well, no, but I mean, it wouldn't matter. He must be something adjacent.
Yeah, I think the blood relative that they share is Kamo's blood, because Kamo's entire thing is, like, blood power, so it makes sense why Choso would be able to pick up on Kamo's blood in other people, like Yuji, who, if Kamo made him, would have had the same blood. But then, at the same time, that would imply that it was, like, possibly Geto, if he went out of Kamo's body, he, like, took some of his blood to be able to use it for other experiments, because if he wasn't in Noritoshi Kamo's body, then he wouldn't have Kamo's blood, and therefore they wouldn't be blood related, unless, I don't know.
Right, I see what you mean.
Because, like, the mom was just a literal normal woman, so it wouldn't make
another sorcerer from another family.
Yeah, I mean, it seems more like she was, like, just a person, and then, like, got a cursed technique.
Plasma vessel.
So whoever Yuji's mom is, I feel like will explain it. But yeah, I guess I was just thinking about the whole blood thing, because it would make sense if it was like Kamo's blood, because it said like the cursed spirit assumingly doesn't really have any DNA, and it was possibly a different cursed spirit every time, but with the same mom. Maybe, and then Kamo,
yeah, it would be
Kamo putting his DNA in there essentially. But if Yuji was made like 16 years ago, then like I don't think Geto like it would have still been in that same body, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, like how would they be related? Yeah. Well, then I don't know then. Well, then that must mean. Well, okay, we played around the idea of Araume having some sort of preservative ability. So that makes sense, because if it was like around 150 years ago, they said in this episode, we were like, oh, more than 100 years ago. Or it seems like it's more, they said in this episode, because before they said more than 100 years ago.
Yeah.
This episode, they said around 150 years ago. If Araume, that's plausible, where if he was like 40, 50 years old, if there's some magic technique, 150 years is how long it takes for the brain to die. You know, the body decomposes faster than the human brain. So like if it's theorized that if we could extend the human body's lifespan, then it would be about the brain would be unrecoverable or by around 150 years. That's if like medical science goes crazy. So with that, if Gege has that in mind when he's writing this, and I wouldn't put it past him, given that there's a guy with a literal brain transplant, maybe he's playing with that number to say that like Kamo would have been around, like the Kamo's body possessed by Brain Man would have been around by the time Yuji would be conceived.
I guess
maybe, but maybe not.
He could have also just taken, like, because he made such a huge name for himself as Kamo, so for me it would make sense if he ditched that body, possibly took some of the blood because he valued the type of blood that it was, went into hiding, and then like later on revisited that idea with like someone else and a little bit more of a scientific or like more researched approach.
Yeah.
Because that was the thing, it's like every time he did it, it got like worse, right? Like every time that he got a new death painting, it was worse and like less formed than the other one. So it would make sense if he like waited, found potentially someone with that same ability again later, and tried to get it perfect on the first try. Because like as we see, Choso is like pretty much just like a guy.
Yeah.
Like
whereas his brothers were increasingly monstrous.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something there.
And possibly he added in something else to it, or was somehow able to like curate the cursed spirit that like was impregnating the woman as well.
That's why I think it might be a previous incarnation of Mahito, because Mahito, like Dagon, was very young, like said to be very young, younger than Yuji.
Yeah.
So like if 150 years, because they keep getting reborn when they die. Like,
but I thought it took like 1,000 years or something.
Does it take that long?
I thought it took like like hundreds of years, like a long time, as far as I was aware, that they needed time to like reform.
I didn't know it was that long. I don't remember if they ever gave it a word. I think it was just like a long time. I don't know if they ever said. If it was 1,000 years, maybe you're just remembering better than me. That's totally possible.
I don't know if it was exactly 1,000 years, but I always took it to be like
these concepts exist on like, you know, it's a world level thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But the fear of people, like, yeah, I don't know. I think you might be right, but I would take that to mean like, you know, 100 years would be enough for them to, because Dagon, how long was Dagon like a baby? You know, Dagon was supposed to be like a little baby, and
Dagon's been a baby for like at least a year.
Yeah.
And who knows how long he was a baby before that.
We saw him in the first OP. We see him floating around a little pool, like very small. So maybe you grow really fast like that. I don't know. But I'm just thinking of like, what else could the spirit be that impregnated?
It's that spirit that's with Yuki, obviously.
That would be crazy. I mean, it looks like a sperm.
You know what would also, yeah, it's just interesting And also, like, what the fuck does Yuji's grandpa know? Like, that's what I want to know. Is, like, what was he gonna say? How was he gonna explain? Did he know about this?
I think he did. I think he did, but he was trying to... I think the best explanation... I think he probably did know. Because he said, like, Yuji, you're really strong. Wasn't looking at him when he said it, but he's like, you're really strong. Protect others. As if, like, you have a power within you. You are born from something, you know, beyond most people's comprehension. And that gives you the ability... Like you know, relating it back to, like, classical shonen tropes, it's like, you have the ability to cause, like, great damage. With great power comes great responsibility. You have the ability to cause great damage or great good. Choose good.
And we do have this thing, like, with his grandpa of, like, how he looks literally exactly like his grandpa.
Yeah.
So, like, that's what also makes me think it's, like, the mom is probably the daughter of the grandpa, which means that she was also a normal person that was alive and, like, you know what I mean?
I
Like,
think so too.
There's not, like, I don't think that Yuji was, like, frozen or, like, messed up. Like, there could have been something, like, Kamo, Umbrella Man could have, like, performed a hysterectomy on this woman, stolen her cursed womb, and then, like, later on, like, transplanted it into someone else. Maybe he was, like, posing at the fertility clinic as a doctor. He's like, oh, I can help you have a baby.
Okay. Injecting your cringe Netflix documentaries.
What?
Isn't that what you were going with? Like the guy who, like, inseminated, like, 150
Oh,
people?
no, I wasn't thinking of that, but that was
you weren't?
fucked up.
Okay. I thought maybe it was...
I was just making a joke about, like, Kamo posing as a doctor just so that he could, like, do this. But I don't think so.
If we want to get crazy harebrained, like, if we're talking about posing as a doctor and shit like that, what if it's, like, Yuji's part of, like, a conspiracy or, like, some sort of, crazy experiment with Jujutsu Society or something? Like, what if there's, what if it wasn't just rogue Kamo, you know, controlled by this person? What if, like, the Zenin clan was into this because they wanted to, like, there's two characters of you know, Megami and young Kamo who are, like, mistakes, but you know, they weren't, ideally it would have been inherited. Their abilities would have been inherited by, like, the prince of the clan, rather than, like, you know, the son of a dejected person or a mistress, you know? So, like, maybe what if, like, the Zenin clan, I suspect the Zenin clan because we don't know a lot about the Gojo clan, but, like, we know Kamo was involved, or a person from, you know, possessed Kamo was involved. What if, like, the Zenin clan was, like, buying into it too, to, like, try and find a way, like, putting this research to try and control their ability and manifest in multiple people so they can get more power.
That completely disgraced the Kamo clan, and at the same time, if they did that successfully, like, they would never let him go. You know what I mean? Like,
well, they didn't know about him being a brain transplant boy.
Yeah.
Theoretically. Maybe they did.
I don't know.
I mean, that's, like I said, that's, like, crazy. I don't even know.
That's, like, full tinfoil hat.
That's full tinfoil. I don't have any evidence for that. It's just like, it would make sense with, if you think about the whole Jujutsu world in there, specifically the Zenin clan, like, and their thirst for power and shit. That's empty.
No, I know.
Oh. What are you doing?
I'm giving you a tinfoil hat.
Thank you. Oh my god. What else? There's so much. We haven't even scratched. We've been talking for 2 hours. I don't feel like we've scratched the surface yet. I genuinely think there's so much more to talk about.
Really?
Yeah, like, I seriously, like, there's so much more going on. Like, I wonder what Sukuna's thinking right now, watching all of this.
Yeah, well, I mean, it must be part of his thing, because or else, like, I don't know, he like, if Urame wasn't supposed to be protecting not Geto, then Urame probably wouldn't do it in front of Sukuna.
100%.
So like, you know.
I get the feeling that Urame is genuinely loyal towards Sukuna. It's not some betrayal fuckery, probably.
No.
So, like, I just judging by that and judging by their relationship, I doubt Urame would do something that Sukuna would not want to do.
Especially right in front of Sukuna.
Yeah, there's no possibility.
Yeah.
So, which means that they're definitely working together. Not probably. They are definitely. If Urame's stepping in to fight with Umbrella Man, if Umbrella Man brought in Urame into the Cursed Spirit fucking powwow in season 1, and Urame is a full disciple of Sukuna, there is zero possibility that Sukuna does not want whatever Umbrella Man wants. And what Umbrella Man did all this for was to capture Gojo. All the rest, and to get more power by capturing cursed spirits. There's no way. So that
it could also be like, you know, as if Gojo's gone, then like Sukuna doesn't really have anything to worry about either, because.
But would Sukuna want to like, through trickery, I got rid of my biggest threat? Sukuna, again, he seemed like, if we're going with like, he's an evil version of like a shonen protagonist type vibe, like he believes in his own strength. That's his ultimate thing. He believes in his own power. I don't think somebody like that would like scheme to try and get rid of their ultimate challenger.
Yeah.
You know? Like that doesn't track with me personally.
Yeah, that's fair.
So...
Especially since Gojo was like fully fine with like letting Yuji get all 20 fingers.
Yeah.
So like, you know, that should be his like number one.
Again, it's like everybody's itching for a fight. It's like, I feel like that's why your sort of interpretation that they're like, you know, just trying to get in the ring to get like how that, I forget what you said. I need to go back and listen to it, but like that to me,
they're
that
like
fits so well.
Instead of like brothers that keep getting like reincarnated to fight each other over eternity, like Naruto Sasuke style.
They try to reincarnate each other.
They just have kind of been alive the whole time, or like semi-alive, like Sukuna. They don't need to have people born that like kind of represent them. They're just still there. And maybe it is kind of like, even if we're not going to end off in that big like fight.
I don't think it'll be the end.
But like, even if it's not going to go in that direction, I feel like it could still be a commentary on, like in Naruto, it's like, oh, so everyone is just like a reincarnation of someone else. It's like everyone, like it starts off and it's like, oh, it's Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, the reincarnation of the people that are literally still alive and like 45 years old.
Yeah.
Of Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Tsunade. And then it's like,
well, we need to have older people than that. They are the reincarnations.
It's like, okay, then actually they're the reincarnation of these people that were like, also some of them are still alive.
Like 80 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, it's so then it's just like, okay, and that's like, oh, and actually that wasn't old enough, so those people are actually the reincarnation of these other guys that were really old.
And I feel like the feeling that betrays sort of the entire point of Naruto is kind of is something that a lot of viewers feel. Like the whole point is Naruto's like a scrappy youngster who like has something within him that through effort
like
he can bring out of him.
The chosen
but
one,
he's not the chosen
one.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what they're doing with Yuji, where Yuji is not the chosen one. And like if you think about that, it's like, again, take the template that you've seen in other shonen, not just Naruto, but other shonen, where like, you know, yeah, Naruto I feel like is a good example here, so we'll talk about that. But like Naruto, he's a scrappy youngster. He has this curse on him, within him, this being within him, that if he can try to control it and use it to his advantage and become friends with it, he can be ultimately powerful. But he's not some super secret genius. But as the story goes on, it's like, oh no, he's the literal child of prophecy, the ultimate chosen one who like will seal the fucking darkness and like protect the world.
Not only does he have a magical creature inside of him separate from being the chosen one, he also gets like a fucking magic staff and can like do magic,
literally
and
create
do whatever
body
he
parts.
wants.
Yeah, like he heals Kakashi's eye and shit. Yeah, so like stuff like that, fucking all of that. Imagine that. So like, again, we're talking about sort of coming to like sort of fully accepting the setup and like running with what is set up. I feel like, and how that affects Jujutsu, it's like, Yuji is not the chosen one, and what if he becomes not even the main character? Like, you know, he's so not the chosen one that, like, Sukuna being in him is just a stepping stone
like
for
Naruto,
the greater power.
Was the main character.
Or the main villain. Either way, but, like, you know, or if it was really about Kakashi, or, you know, whatever. It's like, Naruto is actually unimportant.
Yuta comes back and becomes the main character again.
That would be crazy. But yeah, like, imagine that. Imagine if the story goes in that direction where it's like, yeah, all this talk about like how Yuji's not special, he's literally not special. He's literally actually not important. And what's important is everything happening around him. He's interesting as a character. He's becoming more interesting. I'm not saying that I'm not interested to see where he goes, but we're talking about these grander ideas for like the overall plot. I love this fucking show, man. This shit is so good. This shit is so... I'm so glad we rewatched it. I've had a better time watching this show than I ever would have imagined liking it. Like, previously. Yeah,
just from watching season 1.
Like, holy shit, it's so well written and well... Like, and the fact that there's like so little extraneous dialogue it's the epitome.
Dream.
It's like the epitome of less is more, and everything that I like about a story. It's like, yeah, you don't need like the characters are still being developed. We're still learning things about people. People are still like learning things about their past and themselves without having a complete psychological diatribe about everything that they've been through up to this point, and like recapping everything with sappy music behind it, and like having these super cringy conversations with each other. The only time that happens is when people are literally dying. Like that's the only time it happens. Is usually like 2 words, and that's it. And it's way more powerful. It is the epitome of less is more, and the fact that everything we learn is just through action. It's through momentum in the story. The fights matter so much, and it's so good.
I have to pee really bad.
Leave a like and subscribe. We'll see you guys next week for the finale, and then in the new year, we're going to be doing all the shit. Nobody's here. We'll talk about it somewhere else, but we're going to be doing all the streams. We're going to be doing all the stuff.
If you're still here, we're doing a
holiday
stream.
I'll put that in the pinned comment.
What do you mean tomorrow? It's today.
Today. It's later today. I'll put that in the pinned comment. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
Leave a like and subscribe. See you guys in the live stream today. Bye-bye.